Welcome to I and the Oracle. This episode is Be Happy.
It's not about creating that reality, it's really about attracting that reality. Everything already exists. It was already done by creation, you don't have to do it again. All you have to do is manifest it through you in your unique way. That is how you are a co-creator. You create the manifestation, the expression of a reality, an idea that already exists, through you by acting like that reality. You have to become the vibration before you can become magnetically attracted to that reality, so it can express itself through you. That's why it excites you so much. If it were not so easily manifestable, something else would excite you instead. Because the universe does not do pointless things, the universe does not say, I will make this your heart's desire, but you can't have it. Trust your heart's desire. Why base your happiness on what you think must happen outside you? Be happy. And as you are happy, you become the vibration of happiness, attracting all the circumstances and situations in life that reflect the concept of happiness. But be happy because that is what you prefer to be, not just so you will attract those things. It's physics. What you put out is what you get back. The energy level or frequency you operate on determines the kind of reality you will experience. This is not philosophy, this is physics. You have to become a particular frequency in order to become the antennae that will receive an echo of the same frequency. Keep it simple. It's all about vibration, about states of being. Become as transparent as glass, and all that is not of your frequency shall pass right through you.
Welcome to I and the Oracle. This episode is Abundance.
Abundance seems to be an issue that absorbs much of your attention and has seemed to absorb much of your attention for quite some time. Let's address the notions of abundance so you can understand attracting abundance into your life is quite a simple matter and does not have to be in any way the struggle that you may have created it to be. Many of you have been told that abundance is certain things, but is not other things. Many of you have become wrapped up in the definitions that create abundance or an apparent lack of it. Allow us to address the notion and make very clear in your understanding that it is only your definitions of abundance that prevent you from experiencing it in your lives. There is absolutely nothing inherent in the idea of abundance or the experience of abundance that is difficult to attain. Only your definitions of abundance make it seem to be beyond your reach. If you only see abundance as money, very often you don't see abundance in its other forms. You're blind, so to speak, abundance blind, because green is the only color you allow abundance to come in. But abundance comes in a total spectrum. The idea is to understand that you must relax your insistence that it must come in this certain way or I won't accept it. I won't recognize it if I don't see this and this on such a date, to the penny. Otherwise, I'm not abundant. What's wrong with me? I can't attract this amount of money by this date because I need it for this and I need it for that. What's wrong with me? Again, these are just definitions. If you allow yourself to understand that abundance is simply whatever way, shape, or form your automatic synchronicity can attract into your life what you need, to allow you to do what you need to do when you need to do it, then you will begin to realize that you are very abundant and have been for quite some time. When money is the strongest way a particular kind of abundance can be fulfilled, the money will be there. You attract the opportunity to give you the money. But when money is not the simplest way, when it is not the simplest path of least resistance, that may be the last way it will manifest. You may be receiving many other ways that abundance is manifesting in your life, or I'll say attempting to manifest in your life. But you may not be allowing it to, again, because of your definitions. Now, there are many ways to change those definitions. Many ways.
Welcome to I and the Oracle. This episode is Time and Aging.
Live in the moment. The more you become absorbed literally in the moment, doing what you love to do, the less you will age. All of you know the experience of saying that time flies when you are having fun. You know that time isn't really flying, and in all reality, it isn't just that you are ignoring the passage of time. You create time. And when you do something that allows you to become so focused that you come out of it and say, oh, many hours have passed. Where did the time go? You actually did not create that time. If you feel like you only experienced about 1/2 hour, when perhaps to the rest of the world 3 hours went by, you have actually only aged 1/2 hour. Living in the moment, staying in the moment, follow your excitement, and stay in that vibration unlocks you from the time matrix and allows you to experience yourself as relatively ageless. Now, the idea is that when you then realize that 3 hours have passed, you're simply doing is automatically and by choice reconnecting yourself to the time stream that all of you have agreed to share, because you don't want to necessarily completely divorce yourself from that matrix. Otherwise, you will not be able to interact with many other people on the planet at this time. But the more you all live in the moment, the more you'll be able to interact within the now, and the less aging you will experience, because you are literally creating less time. And when you stay in the moment, you are creating less details. You are allowing yourself to see the big picture of what you are doing, and allowing your higher self to allow the details to be pulled into position automatically. You don't have to fragment your consciousness to take care of worrying all the details or juggling all the details into place. The fewer details in that fashion that you pay attention to, the less time you need to get done what you need to get done. You are living more in the now, in your more natural state, what you would call or remember as a dream. Now, in a sense, remember that you are in fact dreaming right now. Your physical reality is, in a sense, actually more truly the dream. The physical reality is actually, in a sense, more truly, really the real you. This is a dream of time and space. When you wake up, you will not necessarily experience time and space as much anymore.
Welcome to I and the Oracle. This episode is New Habit.
We'd like to begin with the following idea. We remind you that a new habit is in order, a very important new habit in your behavior. Until such time as you make this a part of your day-to-day personality, we will always be willing to remind you to implement and incorporate this notion in your behavior, because it will assist you in making the changes that you wish to make in your lives on a day-to-day pragmatic level. And so, we remind you that this new habit is simply the habit of not automatically nor immediately, no matter how the situation looks, assigning or ascribing a negative connotation to it. To give yourself a moment to look at what is going on and to learn to see it as a neutral circumstance before you see it as a negative or positive or anything in particular. Particularly in those circumstances where you may have been taught to, more often than not, automatically assign a negative connotation, a bad feeling, if you wish to put it that way. Even more importantly, can you take the time to incorporate and instill this new habit of neutrality within you so that you can get more out of the situation? Learn how to change and transform the situation in a positive way, rather than simply automatically assuming it must be negative because of how it looks based on how you have been taught. Now, of course, we are not talking about ignoring your feelings, glossing them over, covering them up, pushing them down, suppressing them. By all means, if feelings come up, you should pay attention to them. But the idea is to understand why you have them. They are not automatic, and certain situations do not necessarily need to automatically generate those feelings in you. But if they are there, then you must pay attention to the fact why they are there. And generally, they are there because you have been taught definitions about the situation that make those feelings seem to be the only logical reaction to have, when in fact they are not. Remember, all situations are neutral, and if you learn to balance yourself and look at them first and foremost, no matter what it may be, and in remaining neutral, at least for a few moments, you give yourself the opportunity to learn to assign new meanings to it that will be relevant for you, regardless of what anyone else's intention in the circumstance may have been. Remaining relatively neutral at first will give you an opportunity to gain greater insight, more depth and understanding as how the circumstances came together, what they are based on in terms of the definitions that are going on in you and others in society, and give you an opportunity to learn to replace those definitions in such a manner so that in doing so, and in assigning new perspective and new meaning to the circumstance, you can glean from it new impact, new effect, new meaning, new feeling, and learn how any situation can serve you in a positive and constructive and creative and expansive way, rather than continuing to live your lives assuming that certain situations can only be capable of generating negativity in your reality. You are the one that is generating the reality you experience, and even though someone else may be involved, it is your perception and your definition of it that determines the effect you personally extract from it in your life. Learn the new habit of taking a moment to pause and not automatically assign a negative meaning to circumstances, but give yourself the opportunity to see it as simply a neutral set of props, a neutral set of equations, a neutral circumstance that has come together for a variety of reasons, and looking at it as a nexus point, you can then begin to assign new meaning by exploring the definitions that are within you. Remember that these meanings, these feelings, these reactions to circumstances do not come with the circumstance. No circumstance carries a built-in meaning. The meaning, the feelings, the reactions you have are already built within your consciousness, based on the definitions of life you have been taught. Learn the new habit of letting them go and not automatically assuming that those definitions are definitions of an absolute reality. For there is no reality except the definition you give it, and that's what reality is. So learn the new habit. It will serve you day to day in practical and pragmatic ways. And we will remind you as many times as necessary for it to become part of your daily behavior and personality. And when it is, you will see a difference in your lives. And you will see that you have more ability to determine exactly in what direction your lives ought to go and what it is you are capable of believing that is possible for you. And also simultaneously, in looking at circumstances neutrally, you will become more capable of understanding how it is you may be of assistance to others who may be caught up in their own definitions and unable to understand that it is their own definitions that have made the circumstance seem so ironclad when in fact it is made of nothing but tissue paper definitions. Learn that reality is the only product of your strongest beliefs, and that is the only thing that makes it seem so solid and so immutable in that sense. Transmute these things by changing your definitions, by changing your awareness. Learn that reality is the only product of your strongest beliefs. It does not necessarily mean that you have to see cosmic consequence in everything that happens to you, though on one level, of course, there always is. It will give you insight, like what you would call an X-ray vision, into the nature and structure of synchronicity and circumstance, to understand how circumstance hinges upon the strongest definitions you have been taught to believe are true. We thank you for allowing us to share this notion, this perspective with you this day.